So the next problem, an external pressure is P is applied on cube at 0 degree centigrade, so that is equally compressed from all sides. If K is the bulk modulus of the material of the cube and alpha is the coefficient of radiant expansion, suppose we want to bring the cube to the original size by heating, the temperature should be raised by. Here the pressure is given as P. And the cube at temperature 0 degree centigrade, so that it is equally compressed from all sides, and the bulk modulus is nothing but K is the bulk modulus and alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion. And I have to find the rise in temperature. So this is a problem. And we know the bulk modulus is given by bulk modulus is nothing but K is given by minus PV by delta V. Of course, here negative sign indicates there is a decrease in volume. So this is the expression for bulk modulus, K is equal to minus PV by delta V. And from the definition of coefficient of volume expansion, we know the coefficient of volume expansion alpha is nothing but delta V by V into delta T. So alpha V is nothing but delta V by V into delta T. From this we get delta V by V is equal to alpha V into delta T. So instead of delta V by V, you can write alpha V by delta T. So bulk modulus K is equal to minus P by delta V by V, which is nothing but minus P by, instead of delta V by V, I can write alpha V into delta T. But here the coefficient of linear expansion is given, and we know alpha V is equal to 3 alpha L. So this is nothing but minus P by, so alpha V can be written as 3 alpha L into delta T. So this is bulk modulus, but we are asked to find the change in temperature. So from this delta T is equal to P by 3K alpha, because the coefficient of linear expansion is given as alpha. So this is the change in temperature. Delta T is equal to P by 3 alpha. But here minus indicates that there is a decrease in volume. So that's why I am not using minus here. So delta T is equal to P by 3 K alpha. This is the change in temperature. So the next problem. A steel rod of length 5 meter and area of cross section 10 cm, 40 cm square. So the next problem. A steel rail of length 5 meter and area of cross section 40 cm square is prevented from expanding along its length while the temperature rises by 10 degrees centigrade, and if the coefficient of linear expansion and Young's modulus of the steel are 1.2 into 10 power minus 5 per Kelvin and 2 into 10 power 11 Newton per meter square, the force developed in the rail is approximately. So here the data given is, the length of the rail is given as length of the rail, which is nothing but L is equal to 5 meter, and area of cross section A is given as 40 centimeter square. So this can be converted into meter square. 40 into 10 power minus 4 meter square is the area of cross section, and the change in temperature, let us imagine it as delta T. So the change in temperature delta T is given as 10 degrees centigrade, and the coefficient of linear expansion coefficient of linear expansion, which is denoted by alpha, is given as 1.2 into 10 power minus 5 per Kelvin, whereas the Young's modulus is given as modulus is denoted by O, which is given as 2 into 10 power 11 Newton per meter square, and we ask to find the force developed on the rise. So this is the data given. So length is given as 5 meter and area is given as 40 into 10 power minus 4 meter square, and the change in temperature is 10 degrees centigrade. Coefficient of linear expansion alpha is 1.2 into 10 power minus 5 Kelvin per degree Kelvin. The Young's modulus is nothing but y is equal to 2 into 10 power 11 Newton per meter square, and we are asked to find the force. And we know the expression for the force is nothing but F is equal to YA alpha into delta T. So this is the formula for the force developed, and which can be found by using y is nothing but 2 into 10 power 11, area is 40 into 10 power minus 4, and alpha is 1.2 into 10 power minus 5, whereas delta T is 10. So this is nothing but 4 into 2 is 8, and here 1 point is nothing but 12 by 10, so 0 get cancelled. So into 12 into 10 power 12, 11 plus 1 into 10 power minus 9. So it is nothing but 10 power 3. This is equal to 8 into 12 into 10 power 3. So this is nothing but 96 into 10 cube newtons, or this is equal to 9.6 into 10 power 4 newtons, or approximately it is 1 into 10 power 5 newton. So this is the force developed. So the next problem. A compressive force F is applied at the two ends of a long thin steel rod, and it is simultaneously, so that the temperature increases by delta T. The net change in the length is 0, and if L is the length of the rod, A is the area of cross section, and Y is the Young's modulus, and alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion, then force is equal to. So we are asked to find the force F. The temperature is increased by delta T. So the increase in temperature is equal to delta T. L is the length of the rod. Length of the rod is L. And A is the area of cross section. The area of cross section is equal to A. And alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion. The coefficient of linear expansion is alpha. And the Young's modulus is Y. So we know the Young's modulus is given by Y is equal to stress by strain. Stress is nothing but force by area, and strain is nothing but delta L by L. And from the coefficient of linear expansion, delta L is nothing but alpha L into delta T. From this we get delta L by L is equal to alpha L into delta T. So instead of delta L by L, you can write alpha L into delta T. So Y is equal to F by A alpha L into delta T. From this you can find the formula for force, which is nothing but YA alpha into delta T, because here the coefficient of linear expansion is given as alpha. So the force becomes equal to F is equal to YA alpha delta T. So this is the expression to find the force developed in the rod. Now see the next problem. The ratio of coefficient of volume expansion of the glass container to the top viscous liquid kept inside the container is 1:4. What fraction of the linear volume of the container should the liquid occupy so that the volume of the remaining vacuum space will be same at all temperatures? See the next problem. The ratio of the coefficient of volume expansion of a glass container to the top viscous liquid kept inside the container is 1:4. What fraction of the inner volume of the container should the liquid occupy so that the volume of the remaining vacant space will be same at all temperatures? So here the ratio of coefficient of a volume expansion to that of the liquid is given as, so gamma 1 by gamma 2 is given as 1:4, and we ask to find the fraction of the volume, that is, how to find the V1 by V2. And here the condition given as volume of the unoccupied space remains constant. So the condition for the volume remains constant is, so the volume remains constant at all temperatures when V1 gamma 1 must be equal to V2 gamma 2. So this is a condition that the volume remains constant at all temperature. And in this, you have to find the V1 by V2 is nothing but gamma 2 by gamma 1, and the gamma 1 by gamma 2 is given as 1:4. So here V1 by V2 is equal to 4:1. So this is the ratio of volumes. See the next problem. On a linear temperature scale Y, water freezes at -160 degree and boils at -50 degree Y. On this scale, a temperature of 340 Kelvin would be read as, and water freezes at 273 Kelvin and boils at 373 Kelvin. So there are two scales given. On scale Y, the water freezes at, the freezing point is -160 degree Y, whereas boiling point is -50 degree Y, and the reading on this scale is given as, reading is equal to 340 K. And on the standard scale, that is in Kelvin square, the freezing point is Kelvin, whereas the boiling point is so there are two different scales, and we know in any scale of temperature, reading minus lower fixed point divided by upper fixed point minus lower fixed point is constant. So in any scale of temperature, reading minus lower fixed point divided by upper fixed point minus lower fixed point remains constant. So in the scale Y, the lower fixed point is -160 degrees F and the upper fixed point is -50 degree Y, whereas the reading is 340 Kelvin. Whereas in the case of Kelvin scale, the lower fixed point is 273 and the upper fixed point is 373. So in both the scales, this must be constant, that is reading minus lower fixed point divided by upper fixed point minus lower fixed point remains constant. So apply this formula in both the scales. So by applying this, we get 340 minus 273 by 373 minus 273, that must be equal to, on this scale the reading is, let us consider y. So y minus the lower fixed point is minus 160, whereas the upper fixed point is minus 50 minus of minus of. So we are applying this equation in both the scales. 67 by 100, that must be equal to y plus 160 divided by minus 50 plus 160. So this is nothing but 67 by 100 is equal to y plus 160 divided by 110. Now 0 get cancelled, and the cross multiply we get 10y plus 160 into 10, that must be equal to 11 into 67. So we need y, so it can be obtained by using 10y is equal to 11 into 67 minus 1600. Simplification, we get this as y is equal to minus 86.3 degree y. So this is the reading in the other scale. The next problem. 3 rods of identical cross section and length are made of 3 different materials of thermal conductivities K1, K2 and K3 respectively. They are joined together at their ends to make a long rod. One end of the long rod is maintained at temperature 100 degrees centigrade and the other end at 0 degrees centigrade. If the joints of the rod are at 70 degrees centigrade and 200 degrees centigrade in steady state and there is no loss of energy from the surface of the rod, the correct relation between K1, K2 and K3 is. So here 3 rods are given and 3 rods are connected in series, and we know whenever they are connected in series the heat energy flowing remains the same, and they are given as identical rods, so they have same length as well as same area. So here L is same, so L and A are same. So delta Q by delta T is same in all rods, and we know delta Q by delta T is equal to Ka theta 1 minus theta 2 by L. So applying this formula to the 3 rods, we get K1 A 100 minus 70 by L is equal to K2 A 70 minus 20 by L is equal to K3 A 20 minus 0 by L. So in all this A by L get cancelled. So K1 into 30 is equal to K2 into 50 is equal to K3 into 20. Then all this 0 get cancelled. So K1 into 3 is equal to K2 into 5 is equal to K3 into 2. Now divide this by 30, then you get K1 into 3 by 30 is equal to K2 into 5 by 30 is equal to K3 into 2 by 30. So then we get K1 by 10 is equal to K2 by 6 is equal to K3 by 50. That means K1 is to K2 is to K3 is equal to 10 is to 6 is to 50. So the relation of this is the relation of the K1, K2 and K3. So the next problem. A wooden wheel of radius R is made of 2 semicircular parts. The 2 parts are held together by a ring made of metal strip of cross sectional area S, and length L is slightly less than 2 pi r. To fit the ring on the wheel, it steps over the wheel. As it cools down to surrounding temperature, it presses the semicircular parts together. If the coefficient of linear expansion of the metal is alpha and the Young's modulus is y, the force that one part of the wheel applies on the other part is. So here the area is given as S. And we know y is equal to stress by strain. Stress is nothing but force by area. So force by area is given as S by delta L by L is the strain. So we get this as FL by S delta L. And here delta L is nothing but 2 pi delta R and L is nothing but 2 pi R. So we get y is equal to F, L is 2 pi R by S, delta L is 2 pi delta. So 2 pi to pi get cancelled, so we get F into R by S into delta. And we know from the definition of alpha, alpha is nothing but delta R by R into delta T. So from this we guess delta R by R is equal to alpha into delta T. So instead of delta R by R, we can write alpha into delta T. So this is equal to F by S alpha into delta T. And from this we get force F is equal to Ys alpha delta T. And here, since it is pressed on the ring is pressed on the two sides, then the net force becomes equal to F net is equal to 2F, which is nothing but 2Y S alpha delta T. So this is the force applied by the one part on the other part. So here the answer is 2SY alpha delta T is after this. So next problem, a bullet of mass 5 gram traveling at a speed of 210 meter per second strikes a fixed wooden target. One half of its kinetic energy is converted into heat in the bullet, while the other half is converted into heat in the wood. The rise of temperature of the bullet to the specific heat of the material is 0.030 calorie per gram degree centigrade. Here, mass of the bullet is given as mass is equal to 5 gram. Traveling with a speed of, that is the velocity is given as 210 meter per second. And one half of its kinetic energy is converted into heat. So the rising temperature of the bullet is, so we are going to find the rise of temperature. It is nothing but delta T. We have to find the delta T here. And the specific heat is given as X is given as 0.03 calorie per gram degree centigrade. So this is solved by using the Joule's law, and we know Joule's law is nothing but W is equal to J into H, and here the work done is nothing but half m square is equal to J into heat energy is ms delta T. But here only half of the work done is kinetic energy is converted into heat. So here we get half of kinetic energy is converted into heat. Let's say we get half into half m square is equal to J into delta T. mm get cancelled. So delta T is equal to V square by 4 into Js. So velocity is given as here 210. So 210 into 210 divided by 4 into J value is 1 and specific it is 0.03. By converting this into amperes we get into 4200. So we get this as 87.5 degrees centigrade. This is the change in temperature. This is the next problem. The specific heat of water is 4200 joule per kg Kelvin and the latent heat of ice is 3.4 into 10 to the power 5 joule per kg. 100 grams of ice at 0 degrees centigrade is placed into 200 grams of water at 25 degrees centigrade. The amount of ice that will melt as the temperature of water reaches 0 degrees is close to grams. So here the data given is specific heat of water. It's given as 4200 joule per kg Kelvin. And the latent heat of ice is given as given as 3.4 into 10 power 5 joule per kg. And mass of water is given as 200 gram and this is at a temperature of 25 degrees centigrade and the amount of ice that will melt is, let the amount of ice melts is is equal to so find the amount of ice melts. From the principle of method of mixers, heat loss is equal to heat gain. So here m ice into latent heat of ice is nothing but ms delta T, that is mass of water and specific heat of water into delta T. So to find the mass of ice, which is given as m water specific heat of water into delta T divided by latent heat of ice. So this is equal to, so mass of the water is given as 200 grams. So this will be converted into MKS. 200 into 1 kg is equal to 1000 grams, which is 10 power minus 3. The specific heat of water is 4200 and change in temperature is 25 minus 0, so it is 75 divided by latent heat of ice is 3.4 into 10 power 5. So on solving we get this as 0.0617 kg, that is equal to 61.7 grams. So this is the mass of ice that is melted in grams. So the next problem, a calorimeter of water equivalent 20 gram contains 180 gram of water at 25 degrees centigrade. M grams of steam at 100 degrees centigrade is mixed till the temperature of the mixture is 31. The value of M is close to. The latent heat of water is given as 540 and specific heat of water is given as 1. So the water equivalent of calorimeter is given as, so M mass, water equivalent is nothing but Ms of calorimeter is equal to 20 gram. So mass of water is 180 gram and this is at 25 degrees centigrade. So mass of steam is gram. We are going to find the value of M. latent heat of steam is given as 540. The specific heat of water is given as water is given as 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade, whereas latent heat of water or latent heat of steam given as 540 calorie per gram. Now let us find the heat given by water. Nothing but mAc delta T, the mass of water, specific of water into change in temperature. So this is nothing but mass of water is 200 because it contains the calorimeter mass is 220 grams, so 180 plus 20 is 200 grams, and the specific heat of water is 1, while the change in temperature is 31 minus 25. And heat taken by steam is equal to ml plus mH delta T. By taking m common, we get m into L plus S into delta T. So this is equal to m into latent heat of water is given as steam is given as 540 and specific heat of water is 1, and change in temperature is 100 minus 31. This is nothing but m into 540 plus 69. This is equal to m into 609. This is nothing but heat given by water is equal to 200 into 6. This is nothing but 1200. And from the principle of calorimetry, heat lost is equal to heat gain. So m into 609 is equal to 1200. So you get m is equal to 1200 by 609. So we get this as approximately 2. To take this as 602 grams.